In the State of the State address, the governor proposed a new way to improve California's infrastructure. Every Californian knows that California's existing infrastructure is inadequate for our current situation. The infrastructure we have today was built for a state that's half our current size. It was built for an economy that's a quarter of our current size. It's obviously inadequate to our future growth. As a result, California needs to add and improve its infrastructure, and it has to do so in a way that doesn't bust the budget, doesn't impose inordinate demands on the taxpayers, and that provides Californians with the finest infrastructure that the world can provide, which is the sort of infrastructure that they deserve. So what the governor's proposed is a new tool to add to our toolbox for building infrastructure in California and for maintaining and operating that infrastructure and even financing it. That tool is known as performance-based infrastructure, and it's not a new idea. It's been used around the world for up to $500 billion worth of infrastructure for over 1,000 projects in countries like the United Kingdom, where they've built over 350 schools and courthouses and government buildings using this method. In France, where they've built high-speed rail lines using this method. In Canada, where they've built wastewater treatment facilities and hospitals and schools and rec centers and roads and mass transit lines using this approach. And in Australia and Spain and South Africa and many other places, and in parts of the United States. This tool melds the abilities of the private sector, their dynamism, their entrepreneurialism, their innovation, their access to capital, with the needs and requirements of the public sector, which has environmental demands, which has safety demands, and of course has job creation and other demands. These partnerships between the public sector and the private sector end up producing infrastructure which is finer for its citizens and at a cost that is no greater than the traditional method of providing that infrastructure, and in many cases is even less expensive. In Ontario, Canada, for example, they're now providing infrastructure for roughly 15 to 20% of their needs using performance-based infrastructure management approaches like we're proposing here that produce the finest infrastructure at a cost savings of 8 to 16% when compared to traditional methods. The net result is that places like Glasgow, Scotland have the world's finest public schools, where the public school students and the public school teachers have the finest facilities, they're fully IT enabled, attendance is higher, and performance is higher. They have the finest courthouses in places in the world where they've used this approach, the finest wastewater treatment facilities at no additional cost, and with much of the capital provided by third-party providers rather than just taxpayers. So the governor proposes to add this tool to California's toolbox so that Californians can have the infrastructure they deserve and the infrastructure that meets our needs as we grow.